back with another video. And in this video today, we're going to be talking about the keyword that made me a millionaire. Now, guys, that was a touch bit of clickbait. I know, just a little bit, but not really. Let me talk you through it, right? So we've talked about Pinterest being a visual algorithm, a visual search engine, and how you can benefit off that. So even with your keywords, using things that are more descriptive compared to more literal can be more effective. And this is a perfect example of that I want to share with you. So this was a brand that I worked with that sold men's jewelry. And as we can see here, we've only spent 76 euros here and returned back about 900 and whatever. But look at the actual name of the keyword is simplicity on men's jewelry, because that is an annotated interest that has been assigned to that type. So we can see it as well here. Of course, men's minimalist jewelry store. It's got similar type, so it's got a larger, smaller one. And then even here, simple men's jewelry has only had one conversion, but it got 154 eyes on that, right? Because the whole point of what I'm trying to say here is that descriptive terms effectively can result in higher returns on your keyword targeting. And I know that's a little bit harder to understand, but you need to understand what an annotated interest is. Now, when you go into Pinterest, and we'll jump into the home feed, and what you'll see here is that on any of these pins here, Pinterest has assigned it not only just as through a category, but a list of, say, 12 or so different annotated interests that it picks it up as. So on here, it's picked up probably men's jewelry, men's style, silver jewelry, men's fashion, things like that. It's picked up on a bunch of these different ones on this pin, and it has been assigned under people who are commonly looking through those annotated interests. And going back to my point of why I bring that up is we will jump back into that ad account. And what we see here is, this is the name of the campaign here was top sellers. So just a simple top of funnel traffic. And then that was a keyword that was associated with. As you can see, we only spent 5K there. And then when we move down to our retargeting, you can see here that we have, so we had jewelry, which was retargeting, and CPA legitimately just saying how low we could push the bid cap. So you can see we've spent 23,000 euros here, 35,000 euros here, and the return on that ended up being close to about $600,000. So, or 600,000 euros. So if you convert that in my currency, it's about $1 million, but in, I don't know what it is in USD currently, but probably something quite similar anyway, around that 600 or 700K mark. But the whole point that I'm trying to say here is that with your keywords, it isn't necessarily about describing products. It's also just finding overall people that are in that niche. And an interesting example of this was when I was working with a teeth whitening brand. And one of our most interesting pickups was that we sort of separated ourselves from just the product and sort of looked more into the niche. And when we were targeting people on the platform, for a teeth whitening product, we were thinking, who is interested in this? Okay, it's people who take their looks more seriously, people that are more interested in, say, social media or things like that. You can't just target that, but our most highest ranking in terms of our best performing interest, I can't remember if it was an interest or a keyword, was festival fashion, which is super, super interesting because it sort of, I guess, broadens your mind on how things work in terms of targeting. But you sort of need to think about who more than what. So instead of thinking about what is the product, it's who is the person buying it. And then once you can pick up on that, that's when these things start to get a little bit easier. So just looking into this now, in this video, we sort of just want to be going overall which keywords are good keywords, how to find good keywords, and also the different types of keywords that we have. So the first thing we would go about is the simple ways that you can find keywords. Say, for example, I sell these sunglasses. The first thing that I'm going to look up is something like men's sunglasses and just try and see if I can find a competitor here. So we'll go men's sunglasses. What I'm seeing here is we've got Temu obviously being the biggest one, but we've got this Chadstone, the fashion capital on it. Okay, I think this is literally just for the shopping center that is near me. But okay, here we've got Culture King. So we know they're spending a fair chunk on these amount here. We can also see Eyekeeper is spending a lot on men's sunglasses. Let's change this into something like men's summer fashion and see if we can find any similarities there. So we'll go men's summer fashion. Let's see if these people are doing it here. So the first thing that we can see is that we're starting to see sunglasses coming up simply because the algorithm is getting used to what I'm liking. But also it does arrange with our search volume here. Of course, you're going to see people wearing sunglasses in the summer. The whole point is with this is that you're simply just trying to find competitors under these search terms. And if you can find multiple under the same search terms, you know that these are obviously the keywords that they're bidding on. And with that, you can then go and use those, put them into a Google Sheet, put them into a Word doc, whatever, and then copy those straight into your keywords when you're creating your campaigns. The next thing that you want to do, or the next sort of, step to this, if you are a little bit more advanced, is Pinterest Trends. We talk about Pinterest Trends all the time, and it's a great tool if you know how to use it properly. I would always advise using United States unless you have like a seasonal product. So, of course, if you sell something in the terms of like a coat, you're not going to be pushing that to the US right now because they're going into autumn, or you know what I mean. You probably wouldn't push that too much in US as much as you would Australia because Australia's just coming out of winter right now. So essentially, that's the only time that you would change it from the US. But the reason I say US is because it's going to be our biggest audience size. But let's hop in here and put in men's sunglasses and see what it gives us in terms of information. So you're going to find a few keywords, but always check it here. The first thing that I'm seeing here in terms of the US, we can see a huge jump here between April and this June mark, simply because, as I said, this is more of a summer product, and it's a lot lower between these times other than around this point here. And the reason there's such a jump here is because of Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So keep that in mind as well when you're seeing those SKUs. And here, under men's sunglasses, this is also a really funny fact. You say that you do sell men's sunglasses, and it was the same example for our men's rings example, was that, of course, being a brand, you're just going to jump on here and go, oh, well, we only target men on Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, well, Google, whatever. Look at how much search volume you're missing out on. 47% of your interested target index is female, and you would have never targeted them. So that's a simple way to start verifying your keywords to see if they're actually worthy of targeting or not. You can see here, 18 to 44 is our main range. And as you can see by the pins, in terms of organic, they're like literally the worst pins I've ever seen. So in terms of ranking well with ads, you're probably going to do better with advertising than you will with just overall straight pins. These are popular pins in the US at the moment under this men's sunglasses thing, and they're trash. So doing well there would be probably quite easy. And if you just had some type of video there, a video pin, 916, with a bit more color and a bit more emphasis on your ads, you do well. In terms of organic, I think it'd be more of a bulk post type of situation here. Next thing I'm seeing here, which is interesting, just something I want to look at, is this funky yellow sunglasses. You can see that there's literally, it says here, if we look on here, I don't know if it'll let me, less than 1% search volume here. And then randomly, there's a super huge jump here, August 31st, 2024. So as advertisers, we know that this is not something that we want to be targeting for a few reasons. Number one, there's no search consistency, and we also don't really want to be jumping on trends because, say for whatever reason you forget to turn off that keyword, you're going to burn a bunch of cash, and it's going to prime your pixel to be retargeting those people who are no longer interested because the trends died. So never buy into the hype there. But let's look at something like vintage sunglasses. So this is something that I would assume as a safe keyword. Again, we can see this peak and trough where we see the seasons coming in, but overall that we know this is going to be a safe search term or a safe keyword to be using all year round in terms of selling sunglasses. Again, we're seeing majority of that search volume being female and a huge jump between 18 and 34. Basically anything beyond this is not too relevant. It has got 5 here and the rest are under 5%. But in terms of who you're targeting, we're also seeing a lot of the products that are already ranking quite highly. So in terms of matching pins to those as well, we know which pins are going to be performing best or which products are going to be performing best. We know that this cheetah print, or I think they call it turtle shell. I think that's what they call it. This is obviously a product that does quite well on Pinterest. So it's just a quick tip. If you sell sunglasses, this might be something that you would be interested in doing. Our final tip for finding good keywords is pin clicks, and we're going to hop into that now. Okay, so what we've got here is I've just put this into this little SaaS called pin clicks. What this is going to do is it's going to show me all the highest ranking pins at the moment based on position. And I'm assuming that it's starting at 3 because 1 and 2 are currently being accommodated by ads. But as we can see here, under men's sunglasses, we've got a lot of bad sort of pin. So quick tip, look, if you own a sunglasses brand, book in a call right now because we can make a lot of money. But more importantly, we can start to see what I was talking about with these annotated interests. So if I go over this, I wonder if it'll show me here. Yeah, so annotated interests, we can see that it's picked up sunglasses silver, Dockers men, aviator sunglasses men, aviator sunglasses, special features, and silver. So that's what I meant before when I was talking about this certain annotated interests that Pinterest will pick up, find similarities between the product, and then match it to the right person organically. And that's what we're talking about when we talk about the visual algorithm. It's literally just picking up everything that it can see or everything it identifies in an image and then setting it onto a list of actual words so that those words, when they find reoccurrences, can be matched with the right person who's been interested in said words or annotated interest before. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to export this as annotated interest, and then we're going to open this in a Google Sheet. All right, so we've opened this up in the sheet, and as we can see here, the first thing that I'm looking at is these reoccurrences. So we can see that stylish glasses has overlapped on 2 pins here. Aviator sunglasses men's is ranking on 3 of them. Let's see here. This one, perfect one, men's sunglasses, obviously. That one's doing over 4. So even doing branded search, when you're running your keywords, if you know there's obviously going to be a huge whale or huge monopoly in terms of search volume under a branded search, say for example Ray-Ban, you know that you can use that as a keyword when people are searching. So definitely keep that in mind when you're doing your keywords in your ads manager. Men's sunglasses 2023, similar things like that. So we can look up certain things, even adding in times and seasons. So you might be able to say men's fashion summer 2024, something like that, or summer men's fashion 2024. Anything like that where you know that that's sort of going to be in high search volume and you want to keep it consistent towards a certain season, a certain time, keep that in mind. And this is when we start getting a little bit more advanced on the different types of keyword types. So I'll even just break it down here while we're here. See if I can make these a little bit bigger for you guys. So there's going to be 3 different keyword types here. Make the size a bit bigger. The first one you've got is a broad match. And this is exactly what a broad match keyword would look like. So say I had modern men, that essentially means that anything that comes under that line can be changed, can be altered, can be anything. So modern men could change into vintage men. Modern men could become modern men's. It could be modern women's. It could be vintage women's. These words can be changed around in any order. So in terms of synonyms, in terms of any other type of word where 2 words can mean the same things, we obviously know that we need to be a bit more careful with that broad match. I can't really think of one coming off the top of my head now, but there's a few times where 2 words mean the same thing. Or sorry, 1 word means 2 things. So you need to be careful with that. The next one that we have is a phrase match. So that's where you look like this. What is this one? 15. And a phrase match is exactly going to look like this, where we've got the talking marks around these. And essentially what that means is that inside this, you could have, say for example, let's go metal frames, and then you could have copper metal frames. You could have silver metal frames. You could have metal frames, sunglasses, metal frames, bike. And that's the same thing that I'm trying to point out there with that last one, is that you can still mess that up, so make sure you're careful there. So in terms of what you're doing there with a phrase match, this can essentially put words in or out of inside of those brackets. It's almost like contain/must include section. So it's like saying, say for example, if this was men's rings, you could say men's rings 2024. Silver men's rings, gold men's rings gold, anything like that. It's always going to keep the men's rings phrase, but it can add things inside, outside or either side of this thing. The last one that we have is the exact match, and it's going to look like this one. Sorry. And we'll jump that one up. That work? No. That's fine. Exact match, right? So that one looks like this. And that's where we have the square brackets. And that's when we do start getting a bit more specific about what we're talking about. So if we know that something can be changed, or if it is altered, it might not be helpful. Like we were talking about with that metal frames, we know that metal frames could get turned into bike metal frames, or metal frames home renovation. I don't know. But any example where we know that that could be misinterpreted is where we would use this exact match. And that means that Pinterest isn't going to change what that could mean. It's not going to try and match it to what it thinks it means. It's not going to add anything to the side or the other side of this. It's always going to be exactly what is inside this square bracket. So where we use these is when we're writing in our keywords. And if you check in your ads manager, it will tell you what type of keyword you've actually put in. And I'll show you an example of that. Okay, so here I've got a couple in here, and what you can see is that we've got simple men's jewelry, men's minimalist jewelry, jewelry store, simplicity, blah, blah, blah in our broad match. And then when it comes down to these ones, like classic men's jewelry, urban men's accessories, blah, 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 hipster men's jewelry, that type of thing. And then we've even got sterling silver necklaces for men, a couple of exact matches in here as well. And you can see where it says here in the match type, exact, broad, or phrase. And with that, essentially what that is going to do is it, once you put in those certain points there where you've got the square brackets, you've got the talking marks, or you just have it with nothing there, it will automatically select it in there when you're writing in your keywords. And you can do the same on the opposite. So we hop back into here. I will show you guys another example where if you go like this and you put the negative sign in there, all of a sudden you have a negative keyword. So it's going to create a negative keyword, which you can also see in here. But it's almost like an exclude type thing. So instead of it being just to help it, it is literally excluding it. So in here, if I had, for example, women's jewelry, I can put that in here and write women's jewelry. And that's going to exclude this from our keyword targeting. And it's the same thing with exact match. Say there was an exact keyword that you wanted to keep out of it. Say you sold teeth whitening, but you didn't want to say that you sold toothpaste. I don't know. Any type of example where you're really trying to keep words out, that's when you would use something like this. And you would just still keep these indicators. So keep the square brackets, or you'd keep the talking marks to identify what type of keyword you're trying to achieve. But you're still telling Pinterest that you don't want it. So you just put this little minus sign or the hyphen. And that's basically it. That's everything you really need to know about keywords, how to find them, how to know if they're effective or not. And there's going to be keywords that you use that won't work. There's going to be keywords that you use that mess up your entire campaign. You're going to have spend hogs. You're going to have a bunch of problems with your keywords, but that's all part of learning here. Pinterest is a platform where you aren't really trying to get it right the first time. Because if you do get it right the first time, you sort of don't know what to fix. You also don't know what you did right, so you can't replicate it. So making those mistakes is essential with Pinterest, so then you can continue to find out what is going to work. But it's also a platform where sometimes it doesn't work at all. And that could simply be out of your own error where you've simply just done something wrong. So instead of just writing it off as a Pinterest, as a platform that doesn't work for your advertising, watch these videos, learn a bit more, find out where you're making mistakes. That's me. Book a call in the description.